So we have some very important news that we need to get to, and this is more of breaking news because China is sending warplanes, sending military vessels around Taiwan, and they are preparing to seize power from Taiwan very soon. This has the United States readying for a war, but much of the world is simply sitting and waiting, just watching to see what unfolds. One thing I can tell you right now is this does not look good because China is ready to take Taiwan back. So we're going to discuss this in just a moment. All I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So let's get into the real facts. China sends dozens of warplanes and ships near Taiwan to show its anger over island's new leaders. Now, we can really get into this because China has been very vocal as to who their leaders are in Taiwan. Well, the Taiwanese people, they didn't care. They voted, and this is who they picked. The one thing I can tell you, though, that China came out and stated that China is testing their ability to seize power in the second day of military drills around Taiwan. China is using these military drills to determine whether or not they could effectively take control over Taiwan. This is the reason why these exercises are happening more and more. But I want you to listen to a few of these videos. Listen to some of these things. Just listen to this.
This is a powerful punishment for the separatist forces seeking Taiwan independence and a serious warning against interference and provocation by external forces. It is fully in line with international law and practice and completely justified and necessary.
So they are saying that this is completely justified and necessary. Again, it does fall within international practices according to reports that China did not break any international laws. But it's what China is preparing to do. That is the concern. Let's watch this one.
I cannot underscore enough how devastating conflict in the Indo-Pacific region would be. At stake would be untold numbers of lives, trillions of dollars in global economic damage, and an international order, the maintenance of the international order that's delivered relative peace and stability over the past 80 years.
So there's been peace and stability over the past 80 years. That could all end immediately. This is why the world is watching. The trillions of dollars, the economic impact that Taiwan has in the world today. What if China were to seize Taiwan? What if they invade? Here's the concern. The concern isn't that Chinese soldiers are going to come on into Taiwan and just invade the country. Yes, could it happen? Of course, obviously. But the big concern is if these Chinese military ships just surround the island, don't let anything in or out, and then they just make Taiwan pretty much sit there by themselves and do everything on their own. They cannot export any products. They can't import any products. What happens then? That could be very concerning. People can't come in or out. What happens then? I want to play you another clip. Listen to this one.
Happening out all around Taiwan, including some of the outlying islands, and they're saying that they're also going to practice real combat readiness within the archipelago.
So they are going to practice real combat readiness. Why do you practice something like that? Real combat readiness. You only practice if you feel there's a need and that there is a potential chance that it is something that you're going to do. That's the only reason why you practice. You don't usually practice something that you think is, there's a 0.1% chance of it ever happening. You're not going to waste your time, your resources, money. You're not going to waste this stuff. So China coming out and saying that they are going to practice real, combat readiness. That's somewhat concerning, especially after they've just said that they were surrounding Taiwan and in preparation to seize power. This is the problem, is that China's been coming out and saying these things for years. But, and I've told you this before, it's the intensity of their statements. Now they're talking about seizing power. Okay, readiness for war. That, and again, they gave these statements very close to each other. Okay, two different officials gave these statements. It's a problem. Because previously, the timing of these statements were, one was, let's say, in September, the other one could be in like January or February. And now these statements are coming more rapidly. They're more consistent. Again, that's the problem. But where does the United States step into all of this? And why is the United States readying for a war? Well, it's simple. The United States have said that China cannot go and take back Taiwan. And if they attempt to take back Taiwan, the United States will be ready. The United States will step in and stop this. Well, how does the U.S. do that? Well, they do that by almost going to a war. The entire world does not want to see a war. Nobody wants to see the United States and China go after each other because of what's going on with Taiwan. But would the United States do that? According to President Biden, the answer is yes. Here's what I can tell you, though. What we are waiting on right now is to see what China does, to see how China responds, because that is exactly what China did. China sent these warplanes, these ships, over to surround Taiwan. What was the response time? When did the United States actually show up? What did Taiwan decide to do? Okay, and how long did it take them? That is what China was testing. What is the response time? Because if China knows the response time, they also know how quickly they need to get into position. They need to know how many ships they are required to have, how many warplanes they need in the sky. All these things matter. In a war, okay, these little details matter. Now, the one thing I just want to leave you with is as Taiwan condemns China for these drills and say they're irrational provocations, the one thing I can tell you is the United States is taking this very seriously. My only concern is if there is a miscalculation, a misunderstanding, okay, where two planes get up in the sky. Let's say one is a U.S. plane versus a Chinese plane. Two ships collide. Okay, something, a misunderstanding, a miscalculation. That's all it's going to take to send the entire world potentially into a world war. So, I will leave you with that, but just understand at this time, what China is doing to Taiwan is really troubling for the majority of the world, because this could easily send us into a war, and nobody wants that. So, we'll see what happens moving forward. All I can tell you is I will be here every step of the way, and I'll fill you in on all the latest news and updates. But as of today, that is what we know. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.